Driving it home with Patti Vasquez, Patti Vasquez.
From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing ass says, she's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Hey, everybody. It is a Patti Vasquez show. We don't know what happened there with the news, but I know that I'm always cutting it close, but this was a little bit ridiculous. Hey, everybody. Happy Friday. And we've got a great show coming up. Right now, we are going to check in with our good friend Joe Kilgallen in just a little bit. We've got Merrill Miller, the manager of the Jefferson Park Sunday Market. We do have a market coming up this Sunday, and I'd love it if you joined us. We are going to be talking to someone about sunbathing. Yeah, how's that sound? Sunbathing. Because, I like to go hiking, and I really recommend getting out there and just taking a deep breath, especially with everything that's happening. I think it's highly encouraged. And coming up at 6:30, we're going to check in with our good friend Eric Willoughby in North Carolina. I don't know if you guys have caught this story. If you recall last year during the elections, the Supreme Court nominated one of the candidates, won by only 700 votes. And now the Supreme Court has ruled that 65,000 voters have to prove that they were eligible to vote. Otherwise, they'll be thrown off the voting rolls. So that's happening in North Carolina. So Eric Willoughby will check in with us. I was very busy today. There's a little bit going on during the day. I'm trying to track what impact these cuts to Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security are having on organizations throughout the state of Illinois. There's obviously a lot of confusion. Folks are trying to figure out if they can keep their doors open in order to serve their communities. Some people are going to be throwing in the towel, I think, pretty soon, because you have to be able to budget forward. And if there's a risk of not getting that funding, I remember this happened under Governor Rauner. When there were cuts to social services, I believe it was April 3rd, 2015, the impact was immediate and severe. That was 26.2 million, I think, across the board to services like that we're talking about now, like Meals on Wheels for senior citizens, after school programs so that parents who work could have extended amount of time where their kids were supervised and safe. The Autism Program of Illinois, Easter Seals, the Epilepsy Foundation of Illinois. So a lot of folks, I remember within a few days, there were programs that just stopped altogether because they said, hey, we don't know if we're going to have any funding. And that was within the first week. If you recall, we also did not have a budget for over 2.5 years. And the impact still affects us today, where there are people who left these industries that support the disabled, people with disability, the people who are in senior care, in particular, like memory care, physical therapy for individuals. Some of those folks never returned to the industry. And as recently as about, I think, in January, I was contacted by some folks at Early Intervention. Now, Early Intervention is a program that provides services like physical therapy, speech therapy, and those sound like just, so you can move and you can talk. No, I mean, like speech therapy is so that a baby, a toddler can also eat, can chew, can swallow. It's all about also developing the muscles in the mouth, the muscles of the tongue muscles, the jaw muscles, so that they are on the road to reaching their potential that their body has, because some folks just need a little extra help at the start. Well, and I know about this program very well because when Declan was born, they sent a care provider to the hospital because Declan actually started receiving physical therapy when he was still in the special care nursery on a ventilator, because with preemies, with newborns that have medical emergencies, they want to make sure that those babies are on the path to maybe being able to reach their milestones to the best of their ability. And so they would, Declan, what they call it was at the time, it just sounds so horrible. Some of these things have been coming back to me all week as we we recently found out that Declan has an extraordinarily rare genetic disorder called primrose, and we just found that out. He'll be 20 years old this summer, and we are still learning more about this beautiful, mysterious child, this young man now. But when he was born, they said they basically called it, this is so hard to remember all these things, but they called it floppy baby syndrome, in that he had hypotonia. He didn't have the kind of muscular or sort of development that should enable him to thrive. And there were a lot of concerns about that. So early intervention came in and helped him with physical therapy while he was in the hospital. He was on a feeding tube for most of the 28 days that he was in the hospital. So when we were discharged, they sent a social worker to our house. They assigned speech therapy, which was how we worked toward making sure he would be able to swallow and eat on his own. We had developmental therapy. We had physical therapy. He didn't start walking until he was he was past 3 years old, I think, or just before 3 years old. At any rate, so these are the folks that were our family's lifeline to make sure that Declan could be on the path to develop to the best of his ability. And I can't imagine, you guys, just thinking back, as hard as it was, Lady B, I don't know if you went through this, but they would send physical therapists and folks to our house. And so that meant, we had therapy in home 5 days a week, which is so stressful when you have two babies under 2, right? Well, Griffin turned 2 around when Declan was born. So 2 babies under 3 years old, trying to keep the house clean, strangers coming into your home. And I would always be apologize. I remember making the joke because they would be like, do you want me to take my shoes off? And I'm like, oh my God, no, leave them on. I don't know how sticky the floor is. I don't need you to know how bad the floors are. So, and I would apologize to them. I'd be cleaning up as they were coming in and trying to pick up toys and, Griffin snacks and, maybe be in the middle of changing a diaper. It was just chaos. I just remember being chaos 5 days a week in our home. And one of the women said, I'll never forget this. I was apologizing for how messy the house was. And she goes, that's okay. I've seen worse. And I'm like, that's not soothing. That's not making me feel any better. What's worse? Is there crap literally smeared on the walls? I don't know what you mean by you've seen worse. But I just joke about that. So I'm getting to the point that really while it was stressful and it was hard, it also is some of the fondest memories. They are some of the most fond memories I have because they helped Declan learn how to pick things up with his fingers. He didn't have fine motor skills. At any rate, we got those services as soon as he was born. Within months, they were coming to our house to help out. And now, Lady B, the wait list, the intake for kids with developmental delays, up to a year. Up to it's too late, folks. It is, and I hate saying that. No, it's not too late. That's terrible to say, but it's too much stress and trauma on families. It's never too late to make sure you're getting everything you can, the services that you need. If you know anybody that needs early intervention, please look up the services in your area and get on the list. If you think there's a delay, please make sure. But I believe that the reason we have these long waiting lists is because so many people left the industry. They left physical therapy and speech therapy or went into private practice, stopped taking early intervention clients. And that was what happened. And so that happened in 2015, right? So this is 10 years later, and we are still to this day trying to claw back where we were in 2015. And I say that because what is happening federally is happening in every single state, and states where they don't have any wiggle room for losing this funding and services. I do think if we don't figure out a way, if the Republicans do not snap out of this, and I mean the Republicans in the House and in the Senate, on the conservative justices on the Supreme Court and courts around the country, and I mean, I really want to believe, there's a small part of me that still thinks that maybe, just maybe, they really care about people. Because if you have anyone in your life, a veteran, somebody who has a disability, a senior citizen, just all of these folks and here's the thing, we are all going to be old, God willing. And these programs are absolutely going to be decimated for decades to come, I believe. And I don't know. Honestly, for me, the only path forward as far as like a quick solution is the Republicans snapping out of it. And I don't see it happening. They seem to be thriving and loving this. The stock market down 2,200 today. And he's out there tweeting or posting on Truth Social while he's golfing that it's a good time to get rich. If that's not telling you exactly why they're doing this, I don't know any other way to get this through to folks. I don't know what is going to cut through to folks, except for, I guess, impacting you negatively individually for the folks who voted, to then turn around and call your electeds in D.C., your Republican electeds in D.C., and tell them that this is causing a lot of pain and suffering, and you're not going to stand for it anymore, that it's going to be more than just Wisconsin and a Supreme Court justice winning by 10 points to push back against a billionaire trying to buy a Supreme Court. It is going to happen all over the country. But the thing is, for us to wait for them to snap out of it, every single day more people suffer, more people lose their jobs, their companies. They're talking about layoffs already. And you heard Joan talking about to the gentleman in Florida that he talked to somebody who today had their air conditioner in Florida crap out, and it cost them thousands of dollars more today than if it had happened last week because of these tariffs, because now these companies have to extrapolate how much supplies are going to cost, how much delivery is going to cost. We don't have this idea that it's going to force manufacturing. First of all, that's going to force manufacturing. Then do it in tandem. You build up your manufacturing. Okay, now we're ready. We want people to rely on what is made here. But we don't have that because we decided it was better in the 70s, rather than pay people a living wage, make sure that they were safe at their job sites. We would rather pay for cheap crap coming from China because we don't care about how those workers are treated or paid. At any rate, so yeah, we don't have we're not going back to making our own clothing here. I mean, perhaps, but not at the level that we would need in order to put tariffs on Cambodia, on Vietnam at 39%, 37%. What are we to Madagascar? And I was wondering today if the tariff on Vietnam and places like that, because Nike stocks are crashing, and they had just basically tried to pull all the manufacturing, all the backlash they'd gotten with how people are treated in China. They wanted to move it somewhere else, and they moved their manufacturing to Vietnam, which got one of the higher tariffs. This is just absolute madness. Most of the Republicans, you're just so you know, like the MAGAs who try to text and stuff. I mean, if you want to text with something that's not like, 'cause the text screen, the phone calls, this is an invitation to join the conversation, right? If it's kind of like if I was having like a cocktail party every day at 5 o'clock, right? I guess that's one way to think of it. When we have the text screen, we have the phone line, and if you call and you're like, if you're in my living room for a cocktail party and you walk over and you take a dump on my couch, yeah, I'm going to throw you out. And that's what happens when you come on the phone and lie or you say mean things on the text screen. No, you can see the door. Don't let the door hit you or the good Lord split you, is all I'm saying. I'm mad as hell. Oh, I should probably get that quote. Yeah, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore from the 872. Yeah, network. I have to look for that one. Thank you. Okay. I don't know what to do, folks. I don't know what to tell you. There's some maddening stuff out there. It is probably a good time for me to reset a little bit. I came running in. I realized that the news did not air. I was just so folks know how close I cut it sometimes. That's why you heard our sponsor, Source Solar, at the top of the show, because I was still pulling into the parking lot. Look, I work during the day. I try to take a breath before I come in here. Tonight, I'm going to go see Chris Jones at Epiphany, so I will be at Epiphany Center for the Performing Arts. Again, that's for the arts. Epiphany Center for the Arts at 201 South Ashland. You can go to epiphanychi.com. That's epiphanychi.com. We had Chris Jones on our show yesterday, our good friend from Canada. telling us how crazy things are and watching it from his point of view. He's in town with his wonderful band, Chris Jones and the Night Drivers. Again, that's at 7:30 this evening at the Epiphany Center for the Arts. We want to thank our sponsors for making these conversations possible. Thank you to Source Solar. Go to source.solar and make an appointment. Maybe it's time for you to get some solar panels on your house or your business. You can join over 100,000 satisfied customers in the Chicagoland area and check out the conversation that we had with them last month. It's available on the heartlandsignal.com website. We have highlighted interviews available from all of our hosts, from me, Richard, and Joan, as well as our full show podcasts are available there. And we'll have Richard and Peter back. We'll have Peter and Warren back in studio on April 14th to talk some more about solar panels. So make sure you put that in your calendar if you got questions, so you can send them to me by text or call for that show. Would love to hear from you. Let's hear your thoughts. We also want to thank our friend and sponsor, Kirk Bankstead from Minocqua Brewing Company. My latest piece, the billion dollar cheese turd, is available there. I just wrote a piece about beating back the billionaire moment of trying to buy an entire state. I love that Wisconsin told them to stick it. At any rate, go to MinocquaBrewingCompany.com, sign up for the newsletter, and also perhaps buy some woke coffee, maybe some choice wines. You've got a lot of options there on their website. We will be broadcasting from the Minocqua Brewing Company tap room in Madison, Wisconsin on April 15th. Again, go to MinocquaBrewingCompany.com. And we do have a comedy show coming up in June with Kids Above All. Go to kidsaboveall.org and support their mission to help children live happy, healthy, safe lives. And we're going to take a break here, and in just a few moments, we'll check in with our friend Merrill Miller to talk about the Jefferson Park Sunday Market this weekend. I don't know if it's the Jefferson Park one or if it's the Northwest side, because sometimes we work with Independence Park and Portage Park to have a little market. More after this on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KKNW 1150 Minneapolis, St. Paul.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Hey, everybody. We are going to talk to I'm so excited about this sunbathing conversation. Not sunbathing, forest bathing conversation. Well, also sunbathing, of course, in general is nice. But I spend a lot of time in the forest preserves, as you guys know, especially when it's a little bit warmer out. I really do keep meaning to do like winter hikes and maybe some snowshoeing. First of all, I don't think we've talked about this very much, but this is some of the least amount of snow we have had in decades. I think it was only 11 inches of snow through the whole winter, which, when you look back, you're like, yeah, I guess I didn't really shovel that much. It's kind of crazy. So, I didn't, and I don't know, I going out in cold weather to go walking by myself, this wasn't that appealing, but I think I'm ready to go back in the woods as the weather warms up. Coming up in a little bit, we'll talk to Janie McComber-Grillo of Midwest Forest Bathing. Looking forward to that. And as I mentioned, our friend Eric Willoughby will join us at 6:30. The Jefferson Park Sunday Market is this weekend. I'll be volunteering, as I often do. So very excited about that. We have, let me make sure I've got the information about our market correct, because I want you guys to come and join us. I just can't remember if it's at the Irish American Heritage Center or if it's at Copernicus, because we are not at the outdoor market until May. So when we do have the market up and running, it is every second and fourth Sunday of the month. And you may ask, why do you say second and fourth Sunday instead of every other Sunday? Well, because some months have 5 Sundays, and so we have to adjust accordingly and say every second and fourth. So the market this weekend, it's our Easter Spring Prep. So that's going to be Sunday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And it is the Northwest Side Farmers Market Collective. And that's going to be at, I'm going to make sure, I don't have the information here. It's this Sunday. I do know that. And I have to imagine it is at the Irish American Heritage Center, which means that the pub will be open and you can get your Bloody Marys for your pleasure on Sunday morning. Let's get to Jim is on hold. Hey, Jim, what's on your mind, my friend?
Hi, Patty. All I can say is if this president doesn't have a diminished capacity, I don't know who does, and his cabinet and the Republican Party, the whole Republican Party, because they treat him like he's omnipotent. He could say the most ridiculous thing you could possibly imagine. and they'll back it up to the nth degree. Look at the QAnon lady that went into the White House. He won't take any questions from regular reporters, but she advised them that these people weren't loyal. Two people in the the CIA or whatever intelligence department they were in, lifelong people trying to keep the United States a hand on the tiller, and he gets rid of them. And then he's talking about Iran, disarming Iran. Who in God's name is going to do it in this cabinet? The Secretary of Defense already demonstrated that he doesn't understand what the element of surprise is. He has no idea. He's supposed to have been in the military. They would have fired a cadet, a first weak cadet that doesn't understand the element of surprise. I mean, that's just rudimentary in military history. But he doesn't understand that. And nobody on that call understood it. And what's interesting about the call with Jeffrey Goldberg is, Teddy, they never mentioned Trump. He was like he didn't exist.
I know.
He's the president of the United States, and he doesn't exist. And they pass it around this conversation when they know that we live in an era where communication is almost instantaneous around the world. So they got a 2-hour thing there, and then. I mean, they can't be trusted for a moment.
No.
For a moment.
It's crazy.
And tomorrow's going to have a nice. I hope they get a huge crowd tomorrow. I'll be down there.
Where are you going to be, Jim? Hey, do I get to meet Jim tomorrow? Where are you going to be? I'm going to be.
I'll head to Picasso.
You're going to be at the Picasso. How am I going to find you? Where's something?
Well,
how am I going to find you?
You'll find me. Don't worry about it. You'll find me.
I'll be wearing. You know what? I'll be wearing a Wonder Woman hat, Jim. Okay. So you know.
Okay.
I'll be, and braids. I'll be wearing a Wonder Woman hat and pigtail braids. Okay.
Yeah, I'll be hanging around. Picasso is always very, that's where I used to meet everybody.
Oh, my God.
That's where
I need a selfie with Jim. I can't believe this is happening. I would be very excited to meet you, Jim. Yeah?
Patty,
no pictures?
No pictures. No pictures.
Right.
I haven't taken a picture since I was in grammar school.
What is that? Why don't you like taking pictures, Jim?
Because my heroes, Michael Collins wouldn't take a picture, Crazy Horse wouldn't take a picture, and the Red Baron would take a picture.
Okay, hold on a second. This is new information for me, Jim. So this is your, because my dad hated having pictures taken too. I hardly have any pictures of my dad, hardly any with him smiling. So this isn't an Irish thing, is it? This isn't like a don't take my picture, because if you said Mike Collins, it kind of sounds like it is.
Yeah, but I haven't got any pictures of anybody. My family. In fact, somebody gave me a picture when I was a kid, my brother with a gun and my grandfather and so on. I stuck it up in the highest cabinet I had because it just gives me the willies looking at pictures. Why? I don't know. It's just subjective on my part. But I'll be hanging around the Picasso and
okay.
I'll look for you, Patty.
I'll look for you too. Wonder Woman hat. All right, thanks, Jim.
Right there.
Talk to you later. Bye. Yes, I'm meeting up with some folks. I've been on the fence on this because, as I mentioned earlier in the week, we have new information about my son's disorder. Again, it's Primrose, and we go for therapy with him every Saturday. And I was planning to go tomorrow. I try. There are times when I'm traveling and I don't get to join my husband, and making sure that I can help out, because Declan we have to. It's a whole team effort to get through therapy sessions. But my husband's cool with my going down there, and I do want to remind folks to please be aware, be mindful of agitators. I'm planning to. I know folks are talking about not bringing their phones. Joan was talking about putting it on airplane mode when you're in situations like this, and because I don't know what kind of data they're going to be collecting off of our cell phones, and triangulating who's where. But I do plan on videotaping anybody who seems to be intent on plants. I don't know if it'll be folks from the government or these Proud Boys or any of these Christian nationalist organizations that think that they can insinuate themselves into these situations, which we know they did during Black Lives Matter. We saw that guy who was had the umbrella in Minneapolis smashing windows in order to accelerate its sort of destruction of property and violence. So please be safe. I think that this is important to show up for. So I will be there as well with a lot of my friends. I think we're going to be joining Indivisible Illinois, and I hope to see folks out there. And apparently, you might get to meet Jim. I can't take pictures though. I've been told no photos with Jim. I kind of love that. At any rate, I'm so glad you guys are here for a Friday to join us. And again, I will be at the Irish American Heritage Center on Sunday. So tomorrow, protest tomorrow. Go support my local artists and vendors on Sunday at the Irish American Heritage Center. I have to take a break, Judy. So I'm going to bring our guests in. I'll try to get your call. It might be a little bit. It might be a little bit. I'll talk to Judy off the line. We'll take a break here and continue our conversation when we come back on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KKNW Seattle, Washington. We're so thrilled to be a part of the team. More in a moment. Also, you can watch us on Facebook or YouTube. I might be a little bit blurry. Am I blurry or does it look okay? Well, we'll see if we can fix it. I mean, that's just the camera. DuPage County continues to get out the vote and elect progressive candidates, so it's no wonder that there are now several local retailers carrying progressive beer from Minocqua Brewing Company. Be sure to grab yours from Famous Liquors in Lombard, Armanetti Beverage Mart in Roselle, Doty Liquors in Elmhurst, and Bobby's Liquor Warehouse in Carroll Stream, conveniently located next door to the DuPage County Democratic Office. A full list of Illinois locations that offer the Resistance lineup of beer is posted at the top of the Patti Vasquez Show Facebook page, as well as at MinocquaBrewingCompany.com.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue to drive it home. I'm your host, Patti Vasquez, here on WCPT 820, Heartland Signal, and now KKNW in Seattle, Washington. Thank you so much for making us a part of your evenings. Joining me in studio is Janie McComber. How do I say your other last name, Janie?
Grillo.
Grillo.
You could just say, yeah.
I wasn't sure if it was like Latin. I was like, Grillo. I don't know.
No, it's Italiano, so Grillo, if you want to roll your R's. Yes.
Oh, and like that. Yeah. Janie, thank you so much for joining us in studio. Now, it seems as though you might be a listener of the station since you came in hydrating.
Yeah, I came in hydrating.
Oh, excellent.
Yes,
now,
I did.
Well, I like to start finding out about people first. So where did you grow up, my friend?
Western New York State, Rochester, New York.
Oh, I love Rochester,
New York. I've got some friends from home listening.
Hello, Rochester.
Yeah.
I used to tour with a radio station out of Indianapolis, the Bob and Tom radio show. They were syndicated across the country. So I've been in snowstorms in Rochester. That is brutal. I mean, I know it's brutal here, but that's a different kind of crazy.
I have a sister in Crystal Lake, so she's been out here longer than I. We spent 19 hours on the thruway outside of Buffalo in a snowstorm from 4:30 in the afternoon till 11:30 the next morning. They dug us out.
Yeah.
Bumper to bumper.
Just a highway,
just a highway.
Oh,
Monday
my God.
before Thanksgiving, a number of years ago.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
It's something that never leaves you, that memory, right?
We wanted to spend more time together. So.
Yeah. What do you talk about for that long time?
You sleep.
You sleep, yeah.
You eat. You talk about snow. It was snowing. It was our thunderstorms.
Thunder during the snowstorm.
And listen to the radio. There were school kids that they'd spend the night in grocery stores or fire stations, and people spend 2-3 hours going around the block, just go back to their office and spend the night there. So it was an interesting experience. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that seems much more intense than when Lakeshore Drive shut down.
I know. I kept saying 5 hours. Pfft.
Yeah, you're right there.
You're right there.
Yeah, I know, and I feel bad. Roger Badish, if you're listening, I'm just teasing you, my friend. I've known people that were stuck there. Roger Badish was there.
It's not fun, no matter what.
No, I would imagine it's not. So, what brought you to the Chicagoland area?
I was in sales for many years, and so I got transferred. I spent time in Minneapolis, Omaha, Chicago.
Okay.
A couple times here in Chicago. It's nice to be back. Nice to be from the East Coast, but I have a sister here, so
there
family.
You go. Yeah.
Which is wonderful.
And how long have you been in the Chicagoland area?
30, close to 40 years.
Oh, so this is home.
Time.
This is home now.
It is.
Seems like it. So tell us a little bit about, in contrast to where you grew up in Rochester, which has a lot of great, forests and a lot of wonderful places to explore. Yeah. Were you interested in that kind of, forest bathing when you were growing up in Rochester?
Nope. We did spend time, my parents would always take us places.
Sure.
And, I come from a family of gardeners, and some of my uncles were farmers, and we'd spend time in the woods on the farm where my mom grew up. So, yeah, nature was always a part of it. And I'm also the generation that, you'd play outside.
Yeah.
You get home from school and you're outside.
A lot to explore.
Yes.
Were you worried that coming to the Midwest, it would be a little bit different, not quite as scenic?
I was not. I was ready. It's a bad I know I was ready to move. I was ready to leave home.
Okay.
And get out. And I had my sister here, and we've always been very close. And so she's been here longer than I. So it was really nice.
Well, and are you in that area, like around Crystal Lake?
St. Charles.
Okay, so yeah.
40 minutes. You were there. You went out the Arcata, yes?
Yes, the Arcata and the Moonlight Theater, which is right around the corner from there. Really great venue, too.
Okay.
Highly recommend for music and comedy and everything. And that's a really pretty area. So you're in a place that it's rolling hills. There's like rivers and all kinds of great stuff there.
Much flatter than Western New York. We've got a lot of rivers and gorges and waterfalls and stuff. So I miss that. I miss the topography.
Yeah, that was my question. That was what I meant.
There's places out here where you can see for miles, which is special here for the Midwest. So that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's jokes, folks in North Dakota and places like that. They're like, if your dog runs away, you can see it for days. You just stand on a chair.
It's true.
Yeah, so we're not that bad. Because I've been through North Dakota, South Dakota. We do have a lot more as far as like scenic hiking and things like that. And do you get a chance to go down to like Starved Rock area or like along the Mississippi on the western part?
I'm embarrassed to say I've not been to Starved Rock.
You should give it a shot.
All that time I've been out here.
Well, and I don't go that often, so it's not really something. It's not to shame you, my friend.
Well,
not at all.
Time flies, and I work seasonally for a wholesale plant nursery. So now I'm back to work when the weather's nice, and then when it's not, I'm off for the winter. But I have lists of to do things.
Okay.
Places to go.
There you go.
Yeah.
And I just saw a thing on social media about like sort of the area along the Mississippi that apparently was not touched by the glaciers. So it's supposed to be really beautiful along those areas. Yeah. So I'm curious. I also have a list of places I want to go. So tell us about giving these guided tours for folks and for forest bathing. Okay. Where did this idea come from? Yeah.
Well, actually, we've been connected to nature forever. Mm-hmm. Man is really part of nature. And as far back as the Egyptian, in ancient Egypt, there was talk about how the benefits of spending time in nature. First century monks talked about the benefits of time in nature. And so it wasn't that long ago, in the late 1800s, when the second industrial revolution started, where we broke away a little bit more, but even back then in the cities, people had gardens, they had chickens, they had, we're very much tied to nature. So we gradually moved away from that. But in the 1980s, especially as computers became more part of our everyday life, industrially it was in the 60s for computers, the 1980s where it became more home computers. It actually, the nature therapy, forest bathing originated in Japan.
Okay, that makes sense.
And as people were becoming more tech-oriented and spending far less time outside, major health issues arose. Yeah. And yet people that did still spend time in nature, they were kind of going, okay, their health is much better. So let's check this out. Let's investigate that. And so studies started, and studies are still being done today all over the world. And now in Japan, there's designated trails for forest bathing. The name is Shinrin-yoku, which is roughly translated to forest bathing, basically immersing yourself in nature.
Okay.
And there's physicians in Japan and a number Canada and sorry, I had written it down.
It's okay.
Other countries where physicians can actually write prescriptions for patients to spend time in nature.
Okay.
Because there's so many
Who do you show that
benefits.
to? Your boss? Yeah. I have to go for a walk right now. Try
to get it in your insurance company to pay for it.
Yeah, right. No, there's a specific forest I have to go bathe in.
Yes.
It just happens to be in Germany. Is that wrong?
Yeah. Can you send me there? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So this became something that became, because I think there are other cultures that do non-traditional, outside the box kind of a thing.
Yeah. And it is part of the Japanese healthcare.
Wow.
And so very much so. And as I said, they have designated trails. Some of the trails have physicians at the trailhead, so you can do your vitals before and after you spend time on the trail.
Okay.
And so I I had I designed and installed a garden at a therapy facility where they use horses as a therapy tool. It's now, the owner has moved out of state, and so it's now closed. But I saw the garden there. It was a butterfly garden, but sensory garden as well. And between that and the time with the horses, so time in the garden and time with the horses, you could see the effect of nature on and primarily children. I was also on a nonprofit, the treasurer for a nonprofit, that we supplied scholarships for low-income families for them to receive therapy. Oh. And sometimes just watching a child track a red and yellow flower, that low vision, but being able to track was a big thing. With the horses, kids with very limited use of directing their arms. Many times they would reach from around the side, and then watching a child, this one probably still gets me goosebumps, reaching forward to pet a child. And the aide and I were just in tears, because we think so little of just that little bit of just reaching forward. And for some, that's just not that ability to do that. And so I saw firsthand, and then I went back to work. And as I said, I work for a wholesale plant nursery now. I worked for another garden center that's now been part of that company. But while I helped at the therapy facility and going to other classes, I love attending seminars. I love attending Zoom seminars, just learning. Sure. We would share at the nonprofit information about the benefits of time in nature. The nonprofit helped sponsor some autism conference for 5 different years, and we would hand out studies. One of them was from the University of Illinois, talking about how kids with attention deficit disorder spending time in green spaces would have a better time focusing after that. And so I went to a Nature RX symposium hosted by the Conservation Foundation, and listened to this woman, Brenda Spitzer, if you're out there, Brenda.
Hi, Brenda.
Who talked about forest bathing and the walks, giving therapy walks. And that same year, I was sitting minding a table for the company I work for at a American Society of Landscape Architects, and they had a guest from the University of Illinois who had far more studies than the one I had. And it was just like, I want to make that happen. And it's like yesterday, was it just yesterday or Wednesday you were talking about your dear son Declan?
Yeah.
And you talked about how the first time he cried, and you felt that
I could breathe. Oh, I was holding him. Yeah.
And then something you had some of that yesterday. And it's like, I want to help people feel that. Yeah. And help them get that yearning or craving. And I had a gathering of some guides last week and talk about the hunger for the outdoors. Just to feel that, I want to be out there.
Yeah.
And then what comes with it is all kinds of medical advantages, things that when you de-stress, help you physically and emotionally, and your mental health and physical health.
That's how I got through. I love that you're doing this. For me personally, I started hiking aggressively. not like I'm like stomping, not like I'm aggressively hiking, but I mean as often as I could. Sure. And to your point, I would wake up some mornings and I could smell there's a certain smell that makes me want to be in the woods. Yeah. We don't live that far. We're very close right now, about 5 blocks from the forest preserve over here. Nice. So those are some of the woods that I spend time in. And to your point about, so Declan does hippotherapy. He rides every single week.
Oh, it's awesome.
And, he's and we love it. We love our friends at Equestrian Connection there in Lake Forest. So sometimes he gets to ride outside. And one time we were in, have you ever been to New Salem? It's near Springfield. It was kind of, it's a recreated town where Abraham Lincoln lived.
Yes, I have.
So it was so funny because all of a sudden when Declan was able to walk at the time, we'd gone down there and all of a sudden he had to go. So he was like walking in one. So we follow him, like, where do you want to go? Right. And it's kind of forestry there. And we were like, okay, he's exploring. And there was a fence. We didn't even see it. He saw a horse and he was walking to the horse to pet it because that's part of his therapy. Like he walks the horses to their paddock and gives them a carrot, closes the gate. So to him, it was like, oh, I need to go see. To your point, it's that connection that you can't possibly recreate in any other way. So I love that you're doing this. I have to take a break, but I do have regret that when I go hiking now, I'll see moms with like their really little ones, and I'm like, I really should have been out here more often with them. But
life is busy.
A little bit. We are talking to our friend Janie from Midwest Forest Bathing. If you want to learn more, go to midwestforestbathing.com. Am I saying, is it Janie? Janie.
Plain Jane. Hey, you.
Janie McComber Grillo. No, I can't say it Italian. How do you say it with an Italian accent? Grillo. I love it. Well, we'll take a break here and continue our conversation when we come back on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KKNW 1150 AM in Seattle, Washington. I know you got some good hiking paths up there, too. More after this.
Welcome back to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue to drive it home. I am your host, Patti Vasquez, here out of Chicago on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal. You can go to heartlandsignal.com and listen to our show anywhere in the world, as well as watch us on Facebook or YouTube. And our friends listening on KKNW 1150 AM in the evenings in Seattle, Washington. I want to make sure that everyone's aware that I was talking about forest bathing with our friend Janie McComber Grillo. I'm just going to say Grillo and not try to do the accent anymore.
That's what I say.
And I want to make sure folks know. So I was talking about hiking and being in the woods. This is something to a different level of experience when we go forest bathing. So tell folks about that.
So it's to do a full forest bathing walk, and they do them at the Morton Arboretum at the Chicago Botanic Garden.
Okay.
I want to make sure that, and also forest preserves. The Cook County Forest Preserve has Wild in the Woods, Wellness in the Woods program. So they have all kinds of activities, but forest preserves, nature centers, double check them, for nature activities and therapy walks. But a forest bathing walk is generally anywhere from 2 to 3 hours if you do a full walk. Okay. And you barely go half a mile. If that much. Okay. And so I trained with an organization called Association of Nature and Forest Therapy Guides, because once I had decided this is what I want to do, first time I went to a walk at the Arboretum in the winter, because it's like, okay, let's explore this. Is this really what I want to do? And I wanted an organization that was professional. I mean, and there are online organizations for training guides, and there's, nothing wrong with that. I just wanted something that I felt was really accredited. And so ANFT, Association of Nature and Forest Therapy Guides, has trained over close to 3,000 guides in 70 countries around the world.
Wow.
And now, since COVID, the programs are a little more switched around, a lot more online and Zoom. But when I trained in just before COVID in 1999, I went to Minnesota. As I said, they train them all over the place, but I have a friend. I used to live in Minneapolis, and this was a couple hours north of there. And so it was a week-long intensive where we would do a walk each morning and then spend the afternoon and evening in learning, and then a 6-month practicum after that. And the woman Brenda, who I heard ended up being my mentor for my 6-month practicum, and she was at the training. One of my trainees was from New Zealand. Oh, really? So they're from all over. Wow. And what is generally done in those types of walks is you do kind of a housekeeping with letting people know we are trained in first aid and forest first aid, wilderness first aid. So it's preparing if you are out in the middle of nowhere. Sure. And you're able to do first aid. And then we start with what we call pleasure of presence, whereas my daughter's here with me, where we were talking about going through the senses. And it's just kind of a very slow, meditative thing in a way. We stand in a circle, and you kind of give a prompt and let people think about it to go from you're feeling grounded, your sense of touch, your sense of smell, your sense of sound, and bringing you into the moment so you kind of get off their gerbil wheel and get yourself not worrying about the dishes at home or whether you're things in life that are driving you crazy.
What?
We need, yes.
Have you seen my emotional support dumpster fire? Everything's fine. Everything's fine.
Everything's fine. And we all need it. And the whole purpose is to de-stress, which we need. And then we do what's called What's in Motion, and it sets the pace for the walk. And I've had friends that go on the walk that do a lot of hiking and say, that was the hardest thing because you're going at a much slower pace. And then we do a series of invitations that help people focus on anywhere from the big to the little.
Sure.
And when you're focused on something at the moment, it's easier to let go of all the rest of that and just be present in the moment. And then we always end with a tea, which kind of brings everybody back together. We do some sharing in between each invitation, and yet at the end, it's more bringing everybody back together because most of the invitations and things are very singular. People are doing things individually on their own, sometimes pairing up, but so the end, it also is able to take in that sense of taste a bit more. It's a little bit of a nod. It's not an English tea. It's a Japanese tea. So it kind of is that nod to the beginnings of forest bathing. So I mentioned earlier I had there was a group of guides we got together just last week and sharing information on and ideas. And we had one of my trainees also zoomed in and talking about how we can condense that because it may sound like 2-3 hours is a long time, but it's amazing when you're out there relaxing. All of a sudden, it's like, wait a minute, that can't be that amount of time.
Right.
So looking at possibilities of doing half-hour things, just sitting. One of the things that we incorporate into a walk is what we call sit spot, and it's generally like 15-20 minutes. Just find a place where you feel comfortable. If you want to journal, if you want to etch, you want to do anything, just give yourself permission to sit and to just be. And that's one of the things we really encourage people to do at home or wherever they are. 10 to 20 minutes a day or about 120 minutes a week has incredible impact on your health. And just setting and relaxing.
And creating new memories, I would think, like that sense memory of like when you are stressed is to like come back to those moments when you were grounded during your forest bathing experience through this session.
Yeah.
When do you start up again? How can folks make appointments?
It's pretty much free, right? I have, and I had just finished training at the end of 99 and set up my website, and then COVID hit.
You mean in 2020? In
2020.
Yeah, 2019. Yes.
2019, 2020. I know. It's like,
Janie,
when you go back.
I'm sorry. Time is not, it's so nebulous right now.
It does.
What does it even mean anymore?
Yeah.
Right.
So I had done some walks and then also went through a lot of changes medically and family and everything in 22. And it was just, okay, I'm going to work. I'm coming home. I just need me. So I've not done a lot. I feel like this is perfect timing for spring.
Okay.
I've been involved with volunteering for a coalition that's spearheaded by the Conservation Foundation, which we're working on with the Kane County Forest Preserve and the St. Charles Park District, working on creating signage for self-guided therapy walks.
That's brilliant.
And we're looking for funding if anybody wants to help us fund our signs.
And do they go
plug.
Please,
you can go through MidwestForestBathing.com. And I'll be happy to pass that on. But we're getting close. We've got our signage down. We've got a program down. The Conservation Foundation, if people are looking for guides, they have on their website a listing of guides in the greater Chicagoland area. I may be jumping ahead of myself, but I want to make sure I get these things in.
Absolutely. For
your listeners in other areas of the country, the Association of Nature and Forest Therapy Guide, the website is ANFT Earth, and you can find a guide on there, a map. You can find a guide all over the world on their map. And then in Seattle, even if they're hearing it later.
Sure.
There's a Cascadia Forest Therapy.
Nice.
It's cascadiaforesttherapy.org, and it's a group of guides from all over the state of Washington and how you can connect with them on things. So there's a lot of opportunity there to find something and to spend some time in nature. And even if you just Google, there's articles and there's research studies, anywhere from a couple of tips on how to, forest bathe, and other ideas on just how to get out. I do have a lot of studies and articles from online resources and books to read and stuff on the website.
Excellent. And you also have a section here on your website about we talked a little bit about the benefits, but there's like folks who are dealing with arthritis, skin conditions. Tell us a little bit about the levels of cortisol if you want. I mean, if you're up for it, yeah.
Are you kidding?
I know.
I'm up for it. Am I up for it? I'm up for it.
I saw you flipping papers. I'm like, what notes are we getting to?
Yes, here's shuffling the paper. It's just, I was more, excited to be coming.
Oh.
Slightly nervous. Oh. But I do talks. Can I do another plug?
Of course.
I do talks tomorrow. As I mentioned, I have one about butterfly gardening tomorrow at Empowering Gardens in Forest Park. And so I do talks about forest bathing, and we end with a virtual walk through the Pacific Northwest, through a forest, and also about native plants and gardening and all kinds of things. But that's butterflyjane.com.
Okay. All right.
I did not come up with it.
I'm going to keep you for another segment after 6 o'clock, so you don't have to rush right now.
Okay.
I just...
my nerves were more that just
good.
Things that I wanted to make sure was shared.
Yeah, and I'm going to make sure you do. So let's take another segment.
Okay.
Because we're getting a couple of texts, too, from folks who really are appreciating the conversation, so I want to make sure they get the full benefits of what we're talking about. And I also want to thank our friend Sarah, who sends me photos of the dogs that she grooms. So she has her last groom today. It looks like a kind of a doodle, I think, a little bit. So I'm going to take a quick break here and continue our conversation with Janie. The website is MidwestForestBathing.com. So it's MidwestForestBathing.com. And this isn't something like that. Folks can do self-guided forest bathing. This isn't something that you're like, trying to get people to spend a lot of money on. This isn't
No. And most guides were not able to make a living unless you're associated with some organization or a wellness facility or something like that. Which
you're coordinating with the forest preserves and the park districts and all those things where people can have access. I love that. More in a moment on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KKNW 1150 Seattle, Washington. We'll be right back after this.
Driving it home with Patti Vasquez, Patti Vasquez.
From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing ass says, she's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue to drive it home. We want to thank our sponsors for making these conversations possible. But first, let's say hello to our friends listening in the evenings in Seattle on 1150 KKNW, the alternative talk of Seattle, Washington. And then KTNF, our friends listening in Minneapolis, St. Paul on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minneapolis, St. Paul. Of course, we're here out of Chicago on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal. You can watch our show live streaming on YouTube or Facebook. And we want to thank our sponsors, Source Solar. Go to source.solar and make an appointment. Maybe the time is right for you to get solar panels on your house or your business. Join over 100,000 happy customers who have done so far. Also visit MonacoBrewingCompany.com. Please sign up for the newsletter and support the work that journalists. Well, I hate saying I'm a journalist. I'm a columnist, and those are two different things. I have an opinion. I think you all know that. But if you sign up for the newsletter, you'll see my column every single week. This one was on Wednesday because Kirk Bankstead, who has been working on a lot of issues with trying to make sure that, well, first of all, that the billionaire cheese turd did not buy the entire state of Wisconsin or its Supreme Court. So go to MonacoBrewingCompany.com, support the work that he does, and maybe pick up some woke coffee or progressive brew. And we'll be at the Madison Tap Room on April 15th. I always remember it because it's tax day. So come on, hang out with us and tip one back. And let's continue our conversation here in studio. Joining us in studio is our new friend, friend Janie, who has been educating us about forest bathing. And I wanted to come back to this conversation. Again, the website is MidwestForestBathing.com, so you can learn more information. And we were talking about some local places that have programs like this, like the Chicago Botanic Garden and the Morton Arboretum. And one of the things that came up while I was looking at your website was some of the health benefits of forest bathing. People do that. I always say, well, the sun's involved, isn't it?
It is involved. One of my trainers, who I mentioned, who was from New Zealand, actually does a lot of her therapy walks on the beach. Okay, so it doesn't have to be a forest. It doesn't. It's nature bathing. It's nature bathing, and it's one of the things when I do talks about is that your own garden. Find a place in your own garden where you can just sit and relax. Or if the weather's bad, sit at a window. What are you noticing? That's one of the things we always ask is, what are you noticing? Whether it's about yourself or nature around you, it's just, if you're noticing other things and focusing on other things, it helps you let go of the things that might be driving you a little crazy.
What can be driving me crazy? Well, to that, your stress levels also affect so much of your health. Yeah. So talk to us a little about what research has shown in regards to the health benefits of forest bathing.
And as we've evolved, there's actually different parts of our nervous system, and probably just to make it more simple, we often hear about fight or flight. When you get in a situation and your adrenaline's going and you're in fight or flight mode, and then your stress hormone of cortisol increases. And so say we were back when we were using spears and arrows and stuff like that. So you're hunting and you come across this wild boar or a mountain lion, and man, your stress is high and you're in that fight and flight mode, but it's for a short period of time.
There's bursts.
Yes. And so you take home, and then what we don't always hear about is the rest and digest portion of what our nervous system goes through. So you take that mountain lion or the boar home and you rest and digest. And that's where, evolutionary-wise, man usually is. The majority of our time should be in that rest and digest stage. Unfortunately, in the stressful world we live in,
what are you talking about?
We are far too long in that fight and flight mode, in that high anxiety stage. And that increases that production of cortisol. And cortisol does all kinds of things: heart disease, high blood pressure, mental health issues, diabetes, skin conditions, all kinds of things, even asthma. And then it also affects our sleep. When who doesn't love that, is our sleep. So when you're highly stressed, you may have a hard time sleeping. So doing the nature therapy, or any time that you spend in nature, especially the hiking, is great. But spend some time also slowing down. You mentioned about how you'll spend some time sitting. Yeah. And so just spend some time slowing down as well, and slow your heart rate down, and it helps reduce that cortisol levels. And when you do that, there's also a lot of benefits besides reducing blood pressure and your heart medicine. Definitely do see physicians for things. Of course. And when we call about nature therapy, I'm not a therapist. I've not been trained as a therapist. My degree's in biology, but I'm more in plants and trained in this. But don't replace this with seeing your physician.
Sure. It's a compliment. And to your point about like the hunting and sort of what we're evolutionary wise wired to do and how to exist. I mean, in addition to that, we're mammals, right? So nature was our first place, and it's only the last several thousands of years that we have found ways. But even then, I mean, as recently as 500 years ago, even within my own lineage of the natives that lived along the Rio Grande, it was being out in nature, living pretty as close as possible. Yeah. And I used to go to Girl Scout camp. I often talk about East Troy, Wisconsin. And so when when you meditate, sometimes when you do a guided meditation, or if you're in a moment of stress, people will tell you, like, think of a moment when you felt most relaxed. And I almost it's always at Girl Scout camp, floating.
Which is great.
Yeah. But it is the water. It's it was raining. We were talking about rain the other day, and my favorite sound in the world is the sound of rain hitting my tent, right? Waking up to the sound of like that close. Sure. And to your point about the senses, like, what do you smell? How's your skin feel? Is there a breeze? Those are the things that we don't necessarily track in our moment to moment, because we don't have a height. Because if you're hunting, you have to feel the breeze and which way am I going to go? Where's, I'm most likely to be safe. Yeah. We don't rely on those senses anymore.
Exactly.
We're all just sort of like wired to get to work, and even like they say, even like taking a different path home is good for your brain. Yeah. Like little things like that, know. So
stimulate your brain.
So what would you recommend for folks as far as like you mentioned the Morton Arboretum? So they have on their website like forest bathing as an option.
They have a section where you can look at. It's called wellness, and so there's different things that they offer there. We're hoping that with the self-guided signage that we're working on with the Conservation Foundation, that we'll maybe be able to expand that for. I think the Morton Arboretum is interested, and if anybody else, as I said, in the wellness community wants more information, we'd love to share that. Couple of the other things on the health benefits, when you're reducing that cortisol and you're spending time in there, helps reduce inflammation, as well as helping with sleep, short-term memory, a lot of different things with your mental health. And trees in particular, especially evergreens, emit what's called phytoncides.
Oh.
So it's something that...
I'm sorry, phytoncides?
Phyton. P-H-Y.
I was like, phytoncides?
Not fight.
What a great name for something. Phytoncides. It fights the bad things on your insides. I kind of like the idea of that. I'm sorry, phytoncides, yes.
No, but it's a great word. It's a great word. And it actually does help trees fight things like fungus and things like that.
Okay.
And so trees and less or so, other plants emit phytoncides. And when humans breathe that in, it's kind of like, scented oils or things like that, that the trees emit. And when humans breathe that in, it helps increase a certain type of white blood cell, which is called a K cell, which they're doing studies now in regard to this because they help fight cancer. Their K cells help fight cancer. So there's studies, research going on now to see, does this help, increase in time in nature? Well, time in nature actually end up helping fight cancer, but it's still in research.
That's great. I love that. Again, the website is MidwestForestBathing.com. Janie, I think it's fun to, let's take a phone call from Judy before we end our segment, because I think it's kind of fun to bring you guys, listeners together and teaching each other. Judy, what's on your mind, my friend?
Hi, Patty. I have to talk to Jim.
Oh, Jim. So Jim from Chicago is going down for the protest.
Oh, that's right.
I can't believe he's going to be at the protest. I'm so excited. Dan Schaefer from the Politini, he's like, I want to meet Jim. He wants a picture with Jim. But Jim said no photos. I love that he's like, no photos.
Patty, I don't like my picture taken either. And I have been bullied out of a lot of it, but I still back off and hide a little from it. But all my life, I have, they take out a camera or a recording device, and I just would back up and disappear.
Wow.
I have this, I don't know, it's just something, and I actually saw in, like, an Ann Landers or whoever was writing the column, and they wrote in about that, and she said no, that she checked around with her people, and there are people like us. And I have so often wanted to say something to Jim because he uses expressions that my family does. I feel like I'm getting echoes from my family. He has all these, unusual expressions that I haven't heard, I think, since my grandmother's died. But
wow.
Yeah, and I thought, well, today's the day. I don't care how long I have to sit here. I am going to call in and tell Jim there must be some connection back there somewhere.
Well, I just love that he rattled off all his heroes that didn't sit for pictures, right? He said Michael Collins and God, what were the other ones? I just had them at the top of my Custer. He didn't say Custer. He said a Native American name. That couldn't have been Custer. Who did he say? Oh, now I feel
Sitting Bull.
I feel it may have been Sitting Bull. Yeah, he did say Sitting Bull. Jim's going to call back and tell us all of his heroes.
Well, they may have thought they were stealing their spirit. I don't. It's just like I feel like a deer in the headlights a little bit when they aim them at me. And when you're little, they would say, and they would be adjusting the camera, and you would be sitting there or standing there with this frozen smile on your face and feeling really dumb.
I just think it's funny when Jim said that, because I always talk about how Jim reminds me of if my dad was a liberal and from the West Side, because my dad, he sounds so much like my dad. My dad hated having his photo taken. I have no good pictures of my dad.
Well, that's sad.
It's
and I have often, when you've talked about your dad, I've often thought, oh my gosh, there's something about him that is so familiar.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, true Chicagoan. No doubt about that.
Well, yes.
Yeah. There's an Irish Chicagoan to beat.
Well, I have 6 nationalities.
6?
So far.
Whoa. I don't know if you have 6 nationalities. You have 6 ethnicities, right?
Yeah.
Ethnic heritage. Wow, it's a lot.
Yeah, flags. I have 6 flags.
You have 6 flags? you're like an amusement park.
My son has 7 because I have added another one.
Yeah.
By marrying a Polish man. So my dad has 7 nationalities.
That'll do it. Well, Judy, what are you up to this weekend?
My stepdaughter has come home from their Telluride home, and she I don't know, she's like you. I would think after you'd been a long plane ride and all that, you would want to take a day to kind of decompress. But no, she wants to go out and eat. And there's a place out in I think, is it like Crystal Lake? I don't know. One of the lakes out there. And they have a family meal. And she wants to go out for
nice. That's great.
So, yeah, that'll be nice. And her daughter had a baby in December, so she will be bringing the baby along. And
that's awesome.
My husband, he wants to see his great-granddaughter.
Sure.
He already has 3 others.
Well, enjoy.
I'm married to a great-grandfather.
Nice. Well, enjoy your time and have a great weekend, Judy. We'll talk to you. We'll talk to you maybe next week. We've got to run. Thank you so much, Janie. It's MidwestForestBathing.com, and love to have you back again and talk about as it gets warmer and more folks get to enjoy the outdoors. We'd love to have you back.
And I got to hear Judy, and I got to meet Miss
right. The full experience. We're going to come back in a moment with Merrill Miller, the manager of the Jefferson Park Sunday Market, and talk about our market this Sunday at the Irish American Heritage Center after this.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
or Pete.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue to drive it home on KKNW 1150 AM Seattle, Washington, KTNF AM 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul, and here on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal out of Chicago, where I have the pleasure of volunteering this weekend at the Jefferson Park Sunday Market, which is also a collaborative. It's the Jefferson Park Market, Northwest Side Farmers Market, Easter Spring Prep. Joining us is the manager of the market, Merrill Miller. Merrill, good to talk to you. Are you staying hydrated, my friend?
As a matter of fact, I'm sitting here with a Minocqua Brewing Company brew because after the earlier scramble, because I was like busy getting ready for the market and trying to get all the lists organized, my husband was like, here, you should have a beer. And it should be this one.
Oh, there you go. Which one is it?
So I'm drinking Antifa Oktoberfest.
I just gave our friend Jamie.
It's not available anymore, but it's really good.
Yeah, I just gave. We do have a couple in our fridge here. Maybe I'll bring you one on Sunday. If you want me to bring you one, I can bring you one. Just saying. I will. Just saying. I'm so excited to talk to you about this market this Sunday. Now, this is from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Irish American Heritage Center. What do we have planned for folks this Sunday, Merrill?
Well, a bunch of preliminary faces, so a lot of people are used to like Urban Dining League and Tamales Express, who will be there with ready-to-eat stuff if you want to come in to eat your breakfast, brunch, or lunch on site. Remember, the pub itself doesn't open until 11. I mean, you can sit and eat, but they won't be serving until 11. But, you know, brewers on hand there, too. But other vendors include regulars, like we know Bennett's Farm with their meat and eggs and sausage and all kinds of really good stuff. We've got a couple of treat vendors for pets, including Kathy's Canine, and I can't find the name of the other one on my list. Yikes. Anyway, it's here someplace. I'll get there eventually. But we also have two new vendors that are coming in. Oh, Treats de Cuisine is the other pet treats vendor. But Sabar Mexico Salsas will be joining us for the first time.
Oh,
yes,
that's exciting.
Yes. Yeah, so in case, you know, you want something other than the salsas provided with your tamales, there's other options that you get jarred, take home, whatever. So there's that. Brand new vendor, hasn't ever been to a market before. Any market ever is Jean's Curious Crackers. They're gluten-free. It's like mostly like seeds and really savory, tasty. Actually, did you get a sample last time?
I did not.
We had some samples at the last. Yeah, well, there'll be samples this time, so you can catch up. She, like I said, hasn't done any markets at all before. She just got all of her licensing and certification. She's super excited to join us. Also excited to join us is Ash's Delight. She's going to be offering jams and jellies, so she's also a new vendor. So that'll be a nice little treat. And then, you know, we've got favorites like Red Angel hot sauces coming up. I know you love that stuff. Yep. Secret ingredient sauces. So the secret ingredient, just in case you don't know as well, it's a variety of Indian type savory sauces for, you know, you can use them as dips. You can use them as like a cooking aid. There's all kinds of things. I mean, my husband's come up with all kinds of creative ways of using. Super good. And, again, you can get samples and stuff to test it out. Speaking of sauces and stuff, there's Daisy's with fresh pasta as well as their sauces. But then there's also well-loved favorites like Epic Ice Cream, Hillary's Cookies, Scones, Breads, etc. Fargo Brothers Ferments, which offers a selection of pickled goods. Not sure if they're going to make it yet, but the plan is to have Zaki chocolates. I'm actually not sure how it's pronounced, but it's Z-A-C-H-I. So hoping they can make it. They had a little bit of a scramble with somebody to come out. So, crossing fingers. Let's see what else we got. Amy's. Actually, I'm not sure how it's pronounced. It's freeze-dried treats. Collective with their candles, gifts, teas.
Nice. And Collective, and I'm sorry, I don't know if you mentioned Collective because I'm excited to see them. If folks watch the show and you see the bigger rings on my hands, those are from an artist from Collective, and Lilia has helped coordinate. One of them was custom made, and I highly recommend if there's something that you're interested in. It's such a cool ring. I showed this to you, right, Merrill?
Yes. Yeah.
It
is awesome.
Yes. I have a story to tell you this weekend. Too long to tell on the air, but I'll tell you on Sunday. It's kind of amusing.
Awesome. And then we've got a bunch of like local, like actual storefronts that join us for the market. Monk's Herb Center is joining us, as is Distinct Bath and Body.
Nice.
As is what's the other one? Oh, Schoolhouse Kitchen. So they're a fun organization that does cooking classes, primarily geared at kids, but they do some adult classes too. And they'll do rental and stuff. As in, you want to host an event and you want to learn how to cook something. Like I was there for a pasta making event at one point. A terrific environment to learn stuff, but you can find out more from them. Or, if you want, buy a donut kit with them on Sunday.
Excellent. I love all of this. And do we have music this weekend?
Of course we do. We have Kenny Lane joining us. And so he'll be in the pub starting 10 a.m. So if you grab your brunch or whatever, you can join him and listen in. And he'll be there until 2.
Excellent.
And I was just going to add in that, we've also got Pride Coffee Roasters, so we know them well and love their product. Let's see what else we got. Yes, Udepa bags. So in case you need a shopping bag, she'll be out. That's the lady that's doing the. Do you know the backstory on this? It's like Mexican bags. They were handcrafted by. It's like some sort of underprivileged, and I can't remember the whole story.
But fair trade.
It out.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's great. That's great. Again, we're going to be at the Irish American Heritage Center this Sunday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., 4626 North Knox Avenue. It's the Northwest Side Farmers Market Collective. It's the Easter Spring Prep, and we've been joined by the Jefferson Park Sunday Market manager, also for this event, Merrill Miller. And follow us on Facebook. I will be there. I promise, Merrill. I just don't know what time yet. I'm thinking I'm going to get there early this time.
But, can I add in one quick note?
Sure.
Parking in 2 lots and ADA compliant parking available from the north lot.
Excellent.
There's a ramp over there, in other words.
That's an important thing to let folks know because that helps a lot. Thank you, Merrill. I'll see you Sunday.
Thank you so much, Patty, and thanks for understanding.
Oh, please stop. My pleasure. Are you kidding me? The amount of times I tell you I'm going to be there early and I show up late. Thank you, Lady B. All right. Bye, Merrill. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Thanks.
More after this on WCPT at 20. We'll talk to Eric Willoughby when we come back. Union Strong Chicago continues to lead the way with progressive values and in preserving democracy. Your support of the Minocqua Brewing Company Super PAC efforts in Wisconsin and beyond strengthens the fight against MAGA Republicans. You can now purchase progressive beers like Labor Lager, Love Wins Fruited Sour, and the Resistance IPA in Chicago at Rogers Park Provisions, Diversity Beer, Wine, and Spirits in Lakeview, Park West Liquor, Wine, and Beer in Lincoln Park, Logan Square Liquors, and Tip Top Food and Liquors in Westtown. Visit MinocquaBrewingCompany.com for all their Chicagoland locations. As always, no matter how bad our sports teams are, please drink responsibly.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue to drive it home. And hello to our friends listening on 1150 KKNW, Seattle, Washington, Alternative Talk. I wanted to mention them because I think this will be the first time they've, maybe KTNF AM 950 Seattle, Minneapolis, St. Paul. I don't know that they've met our good friend Eric Willoughby, who joins us. Our good friend we met a couple years ago through Terry Cosgrove and Personal PAC. And this young man is a warrior when it comes to calling out the BS from conservatives who are trying to control our lives. And amongst other things, you probably saw him a couple years ago. Eric, how long ago was that? A year and a half ago when you were at that it was a town hall meeting and you went freaking viral and everyone got to see how passionate you are about our democracy. How long ago was that, my friend?
Hey, Patty, that was probably about a year and a half ago.
Yeah. Well, there's the shenanigans will never stop. Are you aware of like this long path? Like, how are you going to sustain your energy for the night? I'm just asking because I need you to do this for another 60, 70 years. Is that too much pressure for you?
Not at all, Patty. Not at all. When the fight is this important, no amount of time is too long.
Yeah, because, you really have enlisted in this at a young age. First of all, let's start here. Where did you grow up again? Were you born in North Carolina?
I was born in High Point, North Carolina, and raised in a town of a couple miles away called Kernersville.
Well, I'm glad that they lent you to us for a while so that we could meet and then apparently send you back was the sort of path you've taken.
I learned my political chops in Chicago and then came right back home to North Carolina.
Oh, man. Okay, so catch us up on where we are now, because I think this story is not really rising to the attention because there's so much going on globally, the stock markets, all of our support services for veterans and for the disabled and for seniors. And then, we got this big race in Wisconsin where, there was a thunderous victory by Judge Susan Crawford. I don't think we're catching this story. Tell us a little bit about what's happening with your Supreme Court.
Yeah, absolutely. In a world where, Liberation Day was yesterday, a lot of the stuff gets drowned out between the stock market crashing and, unconvicted folks getting shipped off to El Salvador without a trial. It's incredible. And so stories like this really do fall to the bottom. But, these are really, really important things that I mean, they don't matter until it's coming up on your doorstep. And in North Carolina, we had a regularly scheduled state Supreme Court election in this past November. The Democrat, Justice Allison Riggs, retained her seat by about 734 votes. Her Republican challenger, a fellow named Jefferson Griffin, he respects North Carolina voters so much that he handpicked 65,000 of them in predominantly Democratic areas and challenged their ballots, and has drawn this out so that it is the only uncertified statewide race in the country. I mean, that is the kind of BS we're dealing with down here in North Carolina.
Yeah, that is crazy. Okay, so he handpicks the ballots he wants to challenge, and so now the courts have decided that, yeah, he's right. He should be able to go to every single one of those 65,000 people and make them prove that they were eligible to vote. Is that right?
That's right. I mean, these are everyday men and women and hard workers throughout North Carolina, including some of our military members in Jacksonville and Fayetteville. It's even one of Justice Riggs' own parents is on what we call the Griffin list, is one of these people that Judge Griffin is trying to challenge. Yeah.
Now, is there any recourse? So this is the appellate court, and this was Judges Allison Riggs and Jefferson Griffin who made this decision. Is there another? Is there a Supreme? Are we going to the Supreme Court? Supreme Court with this?
So this is where a lot of people, this is why this story is so easy to tune out, because it's incredibly legally complicated. And the two judges that stood for election are Justice Riggs and Judge Griffin. And the State Court of Appeals is a 15-member court that's elected statewide in staggered terms. And a random panel of 3 of those judges was selected to hear this case. 2 of them were Republicans and 1 of them were Democrats. You can guess how they voted. The 2 Republicans sided with Griffin. The Democrats sided with democracy and reality. And this has been a drawn-out legal saga that has gone from a district court in our capital county all the way up to the State Court of Appeals. It found its way to federal court and was struck down by Trump judges there. And at this point in time, there are really 2 ways this could go. Our state Supreme Court, which is 5-2 held by Republicans, could choose to hear this. Yes, Justice Riggs has recused herself from that case, as she is a sitting justice. And in the event that Republicans were to side with Justice Riggs, the next venue for this case would be the U.S. Supreme Court.
Wow, which also, as we know, not great numbers there either. Can she countersue and say, "Fine, I want to challenge all the Republican votes. I want to challenge this 100,000 batch of mostly Republican voters"? I don't know.
Hypothetically she could, but Democrats are committed to protecting voters. Protecting the vote is, I know. It is something that is so important. And, with Republicans, every accusation is an admission, right?
Yes.
I mean, they'll sit here and they'll say ballot fraud and they'll call on, they're trying to rig this election, and then they'll turn around and do it. Democrats, we're not hypocrites. When we say something, we mean it.
I know. It's so funny. You're the second Democrat I've talked to in a couple of weeks who was like, "Well, we don't want to hurt people, Patty." I'm like, fine. I know.
Right.
I know.
Well, it comes down to protecting people.
Yes, we are. I appreciate that. It's just that we're in the fart around and find out portion of life, and it's just that everybody's finding out at the same time, and I would just like other people to find out harder.
Right. I can understand
terrible.
That. Yeah.
I know. I have a new adventure called Petty Patty, so we'll talk about that some other time, Eric. But for example, every time I get a nasty comment in my DMs from a MAGA, I dedicate 25 doors in their name and tell them that person sent me there because they really believe in protecting human rights. So
yeah, that's a really good way to channel that frustration, Patty.
Yes, and so it's not hurting people. I put it toward good. It's just that I will say my impulse is not necessarily that noble. So, okay, this sounds terrible, Eric, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, this is what they're trying to do here. I'll say the quiet part out loud for you. The Republicans in North Carolina are using this as a test case. They're testing this out with friendly judges and what they think is a friendly jurisdiction. And if it works, they'll bring it to Illinois.
Yep.
They'll bring it to New York. They'll bring it to California. They'll bring it to Washington. They'll bring it to Minnesota. They'll bring it everywhere, right? And if they lose, I mean, they're trying to change the rules of the game after the game has been played. right? I mean, this is nothing short of absurd. And I don't think that has really set in for a lot of people. Republicans are literally trying to challenge the results of a free and fair election simply because they lost.
Yeah.
They have shown no proof, no nothing. This is what happens in banana republics, Patty. This is insane.
It truly is madness. And what else? What should folks know about what's going on in North Carolina in addition to this? As far as like how there are other states where they're introducing stricter abortion laws, or and not just stricter abortion laws, but like expanding those kinds of things. Are there issues like that are growing in North Carolina as well?
Well, the thing with North Carolina, it's a very complicated state, and I fear that people kind of look at North Carolina as being pretty baked in as a red state. It might be relatively swingy, but it usually swings to Republicans. And let me tell you, that could not be further from the truth. Okay, Republicans in North Carolina have just become so good at getting a stranglehold on power through gerrymandering and disenfranchisement that they think that they can rule the day here. Right. And I think over the next couple of years, they're going to find out that playbook doesn't work anymore. I think after all these Americans have been liberated by all these crazy terrorists, I think they're going to find that they're going to have struggles at the ballot box in 2026 and 2028 and beyond. But Republican leaders in North Carolina right now, instead of focusing on cost of living, right, instead of focusing on being able to make sure, you don't get bankrupt if you get sick, right, instead of, we're a right-to-work state, instead of making it so that you can join a union, right now, Republican leaders in North Carolina are choosing to bring DOGE to North Carolina. That's what the Speaker of our state house has made a big thing here. He wants to DOGE it here, right? And he's doing this after seeing all the pain and trauma that has caused. So like I said, instead of choosing cost of living issues, he's choosing Elon Musk. That's insane.
It truly is. I really can't. We knew it was going to be bad, right? And that was the hard part, was trying to imagine what it was going to be, because your brain just can't possibly think of Elon Musk and the Doge bags getting into all levels of our government to destroy it. I was watching an interview, I think it was Jon Stewart, about the purpose of government is to solve the problems that private sector won't. This is we're trying to make sure that people's lives are better, because research is not, if it's research that doesn't make a pharmaceutical company a lot of money or other biomedical companies a lot of money, they're not going to do the research on it, right? We know that from how women's health has evolved and things like that. So at any rate, what can we do to support the work you're doing? Who are you working with these days? What are you up to?
Our state Democratic Party down here has been a great partner in fighting for justice. And we have a great state party chair, Anderson Clayton, who was just actually recently reelected. And she is a fantastic young leader down here. And, we're really, really working hard. And, when it comes to things like this and long, drawn-out court battles, this is the part that people don't usually want to hear, though. It costs a lot of money to retain lawyers and be able to fight these challenges in courts. And Republicans have people like Elon Musk that they can spend $80-some-odd million on a state Supreme Court race in Wisconsin, and we're busy trying to get good Democrats elected instead of trying to buy elections. And so, if you really want to help, and we'd be endlessly grateful for your support, you can go to ncdp.org/protectthevote. And there's a volunteer interest form there, and then at ncdp.org, you can find the link to donate there. And doing that goes a really long way in making sure that Republicans do not get what they want here in our great state.
And again, that's ncdp.org, right? For the North Carolina Democratic Party. Yep.
That's correct.
I'm on the website right now. I will make is this an Act Blue, or is it directly to you? How does that one work? Let me see where I can donate. I'm looking for the donate tab. Hold on. You guys, they don't make it easy. I'm going to tell you that right now. Home action. What is it under? Where's my donate button? I'll find it.
You'll find it. Yes. And you can go to ncdp.org/protectthevote as well.
Protect the vote, you said. You did say that part.
That
yes.
Is the other one.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
It's protect the vote. So are you, I was checking out your Instagram. Where can folks follow you and support you individually and not keep track of you, but stay up to date, I meant?
I am quite active on Instagram. You can find me at Eric for NC, so that's ERICFORNC.
Excellent. So follow Eric and keep up to date on everything he's doing. And are you planning on are you still running for office, or are you planning on rebooting that again?
So in North Carolina, you have to be 21, I believe, to run for town commission, state house, state senate, what have you. I am only 18 right now, turning 19 in May, so we're inching closer and closer to that date, and as soon as I know, you'll know.
Oh, that's what that was. I was like, is he running? I wasn't sure if you were running, but you're making well, here's the thing. Always be running, right? I think that's kind of what you're going to be doing for a long time, whether it's, through your work for your own campaigns, or supporting others. But laying the groundwork now is so crazy smart. Eric Willoughby, who you've seen on MSNBC, you've heard him here on my show. He's worked with Terry Cosgrove. Are you coming back to Chicago anytime soon?
I was there a week and a half ago, I believe.
You didn't call
I just
us?
missed you, Patty.
What?
I'm sorry. I should have. That's on me.
I'm teasing. You're welcome anytime. Have you gotten up and done any more open mics?
Not quite yet here in Charlotte. We've been fighting for democracy, but as soon as I'm able to.
Yeah, that's never going to end. So I would say, find an open mic because you're great. And it's a good outlet for the work that you do. Believe me. It helps. Is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for catching us up to date. Let's try to get like a monthly update from you. Would that be okay? If that fits your schedule?
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Hey, my phone line's open.
Excellent. All right. Take care. Have a great weekend, or try to, under the circumstances. You know what I mean?
I know. Thanks for having me, Patty.
Take care. Bye, Eric.
Take care. Bye.
Bye. Let's take a break here, and we'll continue. We'll wrap up when we come back on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal. And hi to our friends listening in Seattle and St. Paul, Minneapolis in the evenings.
Taking your calls now.
All right, let's hit it.
At 773-763-9278.
I got a lot to say.
It's Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us as we wind down here at the end of Driving It Home. I hope that you have some plans for the weekend, including, if you are up for it, come and join us at the Hands Off protests all over the country. I will be at Daily Plaza tomorrow, apparently, possibly meeting Jim. I am a little bit way too excited about that. Jim! I almost feel like, why do I feel like I should have a flask with me so Jim and I can toast each other and tip one back together? Maybe I will. Maybe I'll bring some Tullamore Dew with me tomorrow. That's not why I'm going. It's not a party. It is, of course, a protest against what has really been such a catastrophic first few months of this administration. The stock market down today. Folks, do not look at your 401ks. I have a friend who says she's going to pull her money out. It depends on where you are, what your risk levels are as far as planning for retirement and things like that. I know when this guy says and posts on True Social about getting rich, basically telling us that he created the circumstances by which his billionaire buddies can extract as much from the global economy as possible. As I think Joan or Randy Rhodes, all of us are talking about this. The money doesn't just disappear. It doesn't go into the ether. It goes somewhere. People are making money off this. There are people that are going to take advantage by buying up property. I remember when I was in my 20s, before I started dating my husband, I was dating a guy who he wanted to take me out to Maine. He was very proud of this property that his family owned. It was almost like it was a large part of this island off of the coast of Maine. And it was what's so funny to me when I look back at some of these conversations that I had with, especially in relationships like that, he hated my dad. He thought my dad was because if you caught my dad at the wrong moment, he might say things, and he did. My dad said things that I would fight back against. He would say blatantly racist things, and yet my dad treated people well. He was honest. When my dad died, I found out about the people of color, people in the LGBTQ plus community that he helped, that he was friends with, that I didn't really know about when he was alive. He for whatever reason would say horrible things, and on a one-on-one basis would help anybody. There was a server that I met. I was at a restaurant right across from Zany's. Briefly, there was a tapas place in the space where Kamahache is now. And it was a brand new restaurant. And they were, the whole staff was very excited and just really congenial. And my server, Max, came over. My dad would say things about gay people that we would have such big fights. Like I had a boyfriend over one time, and my dad was upset as a cat cab driver that they were having the Pride Parade, and he goes, I don't get it. Why do the fruits got to march? Can't they dance every day of the year? So those are the kinds of things that my dad would say, and like to get my dad really mad, like I would, we would have conversations about. I would tell him, I think I might be gay, Dad, just to, and also at the time I did have a crush on a girl, but at any rate, we didn't really talk about being bi in the 90s or being attracted to people of the same sex the way we do now in a more I think comfortable way. At any rate, I'm telling this story in such a roundabout way. So I'm at this Spanish tapas place. My waiter, my server, Max, was so funny, so charming, and at one point he goes, "Can I sit down? You're so much fun to talk to." So Max sits down, and we're talking for a few minutes about the restaurant and how much he liked working there already. And I said, "Hey, if you ever want to come see a show at Zany's, I'm performing this weekend. I can get you tickets." And he goes, Are you Patti Vasquez? And I was like, "Yeah, my name's Patti Vasquez." And his eyes started to tear up, and he goes, "I am so sorry when I learned about your father dying." And my dad had been dead a couple years, and I was like, "Oh," he goes, "I knew Larry, because this guy Max's family had owned the Amy's Donuts on Milwaukee Avenue near Waukegan, over in Niles. I think now it's like a big police station there now. But at any rate, my dad used to run errands for Max's family for the donut shop, and Max said that my dad told him, he said, "Hey, Max, if you and your boyfriend are ever going to be in Boys Town and you're out, having a good time and out dancing," he goes, "don't take a cab home." He goes, "Call me. I'll come and pick you up, and I'll make sure you're safe. Because some of these drivers out here, they might drop you off somewhere. They might take it. They could do nasty things." And so my dad used to go pick up Max and Max's boyfriend, and give them a ride. And I was like, how did I not know? I mean, what a great story to learn about my dad. And Max said that my dad was driving them one time, and he goes, "These broads out here are crazy. So maybe you boys got the right idea." I'm like, what a great story to have. At any rate, my boyfriend Tom at the time hated my father. Would say Tom, two of my boyfriends along the way said that the world would be a better place when people like my dad were dead. Well, here we are 24 years later, and I assure you the world is not a better place because people like my father, or that my father has died. Plus, my dad voted for Gore before he passed away, which I was like, what? Believe me, I was thrilled. At any rate, but Tom's family had made millions during the Great Depression. His grandfather had wanted this land off the coast of this island off the coast of Maine as a summer place, and they already had a lot of money. New York, whatever, and he offered them a price, and they turned him down. They wanted to be able to stay. And when they were all destitute, when the families who lived there lost money during the Great Depression, he bought the land for like 20 cents on the dollar for what he had, and just basically took this land, took advantage of the fact that these people needed to eat and take care of themselves. So I think that that's a lot of what happens when people like Donald Trump tank our economy and put us in a position where we will be beholden. We'll take whatever they give us. And I think that's what a lot of us are looking at and being mindful of. So I don't know how this goes. The rest of the world is not obviously reacting well. We are isolated. Let me get to one phone call before we go. Garrick in South Elgin. How you doing, Garrick?
Hi, Patty. I'm hydrated, as usual.
Excellent.
Real quick PSA, if I will, for those of us in the listening audience that are going to a hands-off march tomorrow, there is a ACLU Zoom call starting in about 5 minutes about protecting yourself and knowing your rights, etc. Okay. So Google ACLU. In regards to winning, are we winning yet?
Oh, my God.
My wife just came out and showed me our retirement portfolio. And since January 20th, this fascist orange piece of crap and his Nazi minions have cost me and my wife, who've spent over 30 years investing in our retirement, they have cost us $80,000 in the last few months. Yes.
Garrick, my God, I'm so sorry. Oh, my God. See, that's what I'm saying.
And I know we're not the only ones. I mean, everybody listening is experiencing the same pain. This is ridiculous. He is going to bankrupt our country.
Yep. Well, where are you going to be protesting tomorrow?
I'm thinking about two places, Geneva, but definitely Elgin. I live in South Elgin, so I'll probably go to Elgin. All
right, folks, go to handsoff2025.com. That's handsoff2025.com. Also look for what the training session that Garrett was just telling us about at ACLU. You can Google that. Be safe tomorrow. I'll talk to you later, my friend.
All right. Have a great weekend, Patty.
Too. Thank you. You too. Thank you to all of our stations, 1150 KKNW, Seattle, Washington, 820 here in Chicago, 950 KTNF in Minneapolis, St. Paul. Thank you to Source Solar and Minocqua Brewing Company. Thank you, Lady B. Rainy Roads is next, followed by Matt McNeil. That was fast. Bye.